starting the lesson is always a good idea. Okay. So now the change that we have made is just used this block, which says if touching maze, it helps you to go to start if you touch the maze. Now, the next thing that you need to do is identify that how do you win this game. So duplicate that one also and say that if touching finish. If we are touching finish, then it means that we have won this game. So why not give this winning and losing sort of an important or kind of a different background or something. So so I'll suggest that we go to backdrops. We go to backdrops and create two backdrops. So in order to create two backdrops, what you need to do is go to the backdrop section. You see the first backdrop here. Change your backdrops names also properly. So this first one that says backdrop one, I'm going to ask it game background. And now I would have a new background. I would paint in a new one by clicking here and then clicking on paint. Now this is backdrop one. I would, let's say, call it game over backdrop. So a game over backdrop would appear when you lose this game. And let's create another one. We are going to call that third one congratulations backdrop, let's say, or win backdrop. Naming these backdrops would make things simpler for us. Okay, otherwise there is kind of, it's fine even if you don't rename them, but if I rename them, I know them that which one tells us about which backdrop. So their names would be available in the list. So it would be easy for me to identify which one are we talking about when we, let's say, talk about a certain name of the backdrop. So this is a, let's say, the win backdrop. All I want from this backdrop is just have some good sort of text here. So I would say bring in some text and say, congratulations, you have won the game. Currently, you can't see the text because you need to change its color in order to see it. Okay, so now you have this text coming up on your screen when you would win this game. Yes, Zian, you want to ask something?
Yes, it's that I actually tried to put it to the start, like I named it start. Then I tried to put it there, but instead of going to start, it goes to somewhere else.
If you can share your screen, I may be able to help you.
I can't.
So where we were on this point when which we have already stated that what would we do if we touch the maze? We would say that we would go to start. Now let's go towards some visualities of the game, that how the game looks, what happens with the game. So that is why I was trying to introduce two more backdrops. First one was congratulations, you have won the game, which was win backdrop, and maybe I would use a similar thing on the game over. I might want to just in big words want to write game over. So that's what, let's say I want to be on the screen when we have touched the maze or something. I can say, let's say, press flag to start, press flag to start then. So I have now given some instructions also for my game. Just adjust them on the game over screen, let's say. Currently, we are just adjusting these things. Currently, we are just adjusting them on the screen. After this, we have to actually write the code for it. The code that we need to write is kind of simple. All we need to do is go to the player's code and tell us that if we touch the finish mark, what happens is that we change the background. So we would change the background, let's say switch background to win backdrop. So let's add it here. So let's see what happens. You stop the game, and you have to tell your game also that whenever you start, so that is when flag is clicked, so you're going to start. We would want to say that we would want to be in the game background. So now when I touch the flag, I start with this game background. And if I am luckily, if I'm luckily able to, let's say, I have to go full screen. If I'm luckily able to win this game by touching the red part, it takes me to this, which says, congratulations, you have won the game. But I can see the other things on screen also. I can code them to hide, let's say that when I don't want to see them. So we'll figure out how can we do that. But how do we lose this game that has not been defined yet? So we can say that how many chances you want to give your character for this game. Let's say that you want to give your character 3 chances. So they can have 3 chances to, let's say, complete this maze or go through this maze. If they have 3 chances, how can we get that thing that what we call as chances? So chances is basically called lives. So we can define that how many lives would we give. So lives is something that is kind of going to change itself. Let's say that if you touch the maze, your life is going to reduce by 1. You do not get an extra life by anything. You just touch the maze and your 1 life is lost. So it is something that would change its value again and again. So that is why you would think that it is a variable that you are going to use. So you will start it with variables and you will make a new variable which is called lives. Okay. So this lives variable is here, but you can move it to a different position also. Let's say that I would just pick it up and move it here. So it would start with 3 lives. So I would say that when I start this game, set my life to 3. So let's say that now when I would press the flag button, the lives is going to start with 3. I can click on this variable and make it look like a large readout or something. There is a slider also. Okay. And then there is slider range also that we can choose. So I would say that the slider range is from 3 to 0. And now my lives are full at 3. If I lose my lives, the slider can go back and go back to 0. Okay. So how do I lose the life? I would say that I should lose a life whenever I touch the maze. So this is the code which says if touching maze. So I would say that if touching maze, my lives should reduce by 1. So the change lives by -1 should happen. So it goes back in the code where it actually was. And there comes the code for touching the finish line. Now I see that how this is worked. So once you press the flag, you start playing it, you touch the maze, your life goes down by 1. Touch the maze once again, your life goes down by 0. So let's start it again. Start with 3, life goes to 2, then life goes to 1, and then life goes to 0. So this is how the lives are going to change. Lives are reducing. This code is working fine. Now let's define that what happens when the life becomes 0. We would lose this game. We actually would only lose this game if the life becomes 0. So we define that how do we lose the game. So losing the game is like when life goes to 0. So we would say check. So and for checking, we only use this if block. So this time we are not going to use touching or something like that. This time we are going to check if two values are equal. So we need to check if lives value is equal so that we can get in operators, the equality operation. So we would check if lives, and lives would be found in variable. So this circular variable which says lives, you need to put it on the one side, on the left side. On the right side, you need to put up that what is the condition you want to check. We would say that we want to check if the life is equal to 0. If lives become equal to 0, what should happen? Two things should happen after that. First is that you switch to the backdrop. Game over. You would say switch backdrop to game over if this happens. And also you would say that kind of stop everything and do not let your character move further. So you also attach this with the same code. So you can see that this kind of the forever loop that we are using right now, it has two major portions. Okay, the first portion is the movements. So you have 4 if blocks for the movement of your character. And then you have testing blocks. The first block tests if you have touched the maze and reduces your life by 1. The second block checks if you have touched the finish line and increases and changes your backdrop to win backdrop. And the last one checks if your uh, lives have gone back to 0, you should lose this game. So how do we do that now? So let's figure out. We would play this game one last time and we'll figure out if all our things are working. Okay, so let's play this game and see how these things are going on. I would have to press the flag to start it again. First, obviously, the winning criteria should be checked. Yes, saved by the barest of margins. So the first criteria is kind of working fine. Now look at the second criteria. Is that how do we lose this game? One, two, and three. So after third one, you can't actually move your character further. And it says that game over, press flag to start again. Fine, perfectly fine with us. Now we would do something that is called hiding our characters when we don't need them. So we would say that if we go to this background, the winning background, we should hide our characters. We would also that say that if we go to the losing background, we should also hide our characters. So we would say in events, there is an event which says when backdrop switches to. So it means that what are the things that should happen if your backdrop switches to another backdrop? Let's say that a backdrop switches to game over. We would want all of our characters to hide. So the simplest method for that is go to looks and attach this hide block here. So right now you have coded this part for the cat. Similarly, you have coded this part only for the game over right now. So let's say that we change it to win backdrop also. So in both the cases that you win the game or you lose the game, your character, this character would hide and this character would again show up only when you press the flag button. So when flag clicked, I have attached this show button with that. This way, your character would show up once again once you have pressed the flag button. Let's see it. That first 1, 2, 3. It has lost 3 lives and now you can't see the cat anywhere. Now you press the flag button again, it shows up. So that is what you need to do. Hide your characters when other backgrounds are in place and click whenever flag is clicked. Your character should come back on screen. Same you're going to do here also. First, pick out an event which says when backdrop switches to, change it to game over, and ask your character to hide. And then ask your character to show when flag is clicked. And also make sure that you duplicate this block and code it for win backdrop also. So now when your game is over or you win the backdrop, both of the things should happen. Let's check that also. So stop and rerun. So first, second, and third. Now you can see the cat is gone and the maze is also gone. Now when you press the flag button again, the maze comes in, the scratch or the cat also comes in. Perfect. Do the same for the last one also. That is start and end. For start again, pick out that event that says when backdrop switches to and change it to game over. And ask your characters to hide first and then show when flag is clicked. Duplicate this one and make sure that this happens also when the backdrop is win backdrop. Want to check this again? Let's say that we check it again. This time we are going to check if we could win this game actually. So now 3 things are working and you can see that we have got a different background this time, which is congratulations, you have won the game. So the last thing is that what we need to code for that finish also, and we have to code the same thing. So why don't just we drag it? I'm just telling you another method to do the same. If you want to apply the same code to another block, there is another method for that. That is just pick up this block, drag it to that character where you want to get this copied and go to that character. You would see that vector. You would see that code already there. Game over backdrop. That's fine. And now just tell your character to show up again when flag is clicked. So this way your game is now complete. And if there is any question that you guys want to ask, you can ask now. The most extensive code is basically for the player. All of the other codes are not that bulky. You can see that all of the codes are kind of very simple. Very, very, very simple. The major code is with that cat. That is also simple. You you are just setting size for your character and asking it to go to the start. And asking it to go to the start. And then you are just making sure that this character is shown on screen and you are making sure that your backdrop is the game backdrop, not the win backdrop or the game over backdrop when you start. And then you are using a forever loop to write codes through which you can make your character move on screen and also through which you can check if you have won the game or if you have lost the game. So you have made a very good criteria to identify win or loss situations. So win is very straight away, you touch the finish mark, you win. While losing this game is kind of a little tricky. You would have to lose your life 3 times. And if you lose it 3 times, your lives would be equal to 0. And then only you would lose the game and everything would be stopped. Fine? Anything that you guys want to ask? Or if you want to copy this code, do let me know.
How will I change the font size?
Then you want to ask something?
Yes, I wanted to know how do